You will most likely need today maybe a strap. Have it handy. Couple of blocks, one or two, and also your bolster. And let's begin seated and with our dhyana mudra. So the left hand, if I am mirroring you, forgive me, but I'm using my left hand here. Left hand is underneath, right hand sits on top, and you join the thumbs together. So you're making a little bowl in the lap. Just roll the shoulders back and down, let the elbows soften. And you can sit on your bolster if you like. I always like to sit on my bolster. It just lifts my hip up a little bit. And you can rest those hands down just by the abdomen, lower navel, down by the dantian. And you can relax the wrists in the creases of your thighs as well. So maybe you choose to take a soft gaze down. You don't ever have to close the eyes, but if you choose to close the eyes, relax the eyelids and relax the area all the way around the eyes, relaxing the forehead, softening as you breathe in through the nostrils, and as you breathe out, relax through the jaw and the teeth. And finding your breath today as you come to your mat for practice. Breathing in and out of equal length, allowing the breath to flow freely. Letting go of anything that you do not need for this practice. Let go of distracting thoughts. Let go of tightness and tension within the body. And be present here with yourself. Check in with you. And our dhyana mudra is sometimes called the Buddha mudra. You'll often see images or statues of the Buddha using the dhyana mudra. It's a classic hand gesture or seal practiced during meditation. And the hands form an empty bowl, allowing for relaxation and an emptying of thought. Also allows you to bring in inner tranquility and peace, which sometimes we may need when we come to a yin practice and we find our edge, or we find a posture that may be more challenging. So it's finding that inner calm, that inner peace, inner tranquility. So find that now as we just sit here in silence for a couple of minutes of meditation for yourself. Beginning to take a few deeper breaths as you bring your awareness back from just a couple of minutes of contemplation. Release the Dhyana Mudra to the knees, palms face up. Bring movement back into the fingers, circle into the wrists, circle into the shoulders. And lift the knees, bring the knees together, give yourself that little hug. Relax the head, the neck, breathe through the back body. And just notice as you come out of that seated posture, how the response and the recovery feels for you. So let's come into our first posture of that toe stretch. So just bringing yourself to the back of your mat. Bringing the hands forward, tucking the toes underneath you. Try and get the toe beds really underneath as much as you can. And you can stay there, or you can start to walk your hands back and releasing the buttocks towards the heels. The deeper you go back, the more weight obviously comes into the feet. So if you feel comfortable to do so, then you can bring yourself into an upright position, relaxing the shoulders and letting all the weight go into the toes as much as you can. Try to keep the ankles together and not splaying out to the sides. Let's take a few deep breaths here. Try to find that inner peace, inner calm, inner tranquility whilst you work towards your edge in toe stretch. Slow and steady breaths, breathing out the tightness, releasing the tension. If you feel that you've done enough already, then you can always slowly come out, releasing the toes. Maybe you have a few more breaths left. Releasing the hands forward and releasing the feet nice and slowly and steadily. Never rush to come into that recovery posture. And just press as much as you can into the tops of the feet here in a tabletop position. Notice the response, notice the recovery as you come out of that toe stretch. And maybe you just lift a foot, circle the toes, circle the ankle, one at a time. Get movement back into the toes. Well done. Let's come into caterpillar. So swinging the legs around in front of you. Choosing your options of having the bolster underneath to support the head, or maybe you make a little T with your blocks. So you can always support the head in caterpillar, or maybe you don't feel that you need any of those props and you can stay in the fold over the legs, letting the head and the neck soften and relax. Preparing to stay and hold and find stillness for a number of minutes here. Each breath out, you let go just a little bit more. Finding more release, more depth, more space. Finding yourself to be present in the posture, not letting the mind wander off to thoughts. Really feel the sensations coming up for you. Listen to the body's messages. Slowing down the breath and the heart rate to really focus on the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest. And learning not to fight with yourself. Preparing to come out of the posture nice and slowly. Keeping the chin down towards the chest, letting the head still be heavy. Start to walk the hands back as you roll up. So the lower back starts to pull back, the middle back, the upper back starts to open. And as the shoulders come back up in line with the hips, you start to straighten the spine, and then you can start to lift the chin, lifting the head. Find the moment of recovery, and then sweep the hands back behind you and just lift the knees, bringing the soles of the feet on the mat, dropping the knees over one way and the other. And if you're at the back of your mat, you might wish to just shuffle forward as we come into our reclined postures. So drawing the knees in towards the chest, rolling back, and relax the belly. Feel the spine really connect in towards the mat. And just circle the knees a little bit from side to side, or just rock and roll through the spine. And just notice if you've lifted the chin and arching through the back of the neck, or are you tucking the chin? Feel the neck in line with the spine. So this one is our reclined shoelace. So the right thigh crosses over the left thigh, and the knees are in the center of your torso. And you're going to take the left hand to the right foot and the right hand to the left foot. You're going to draw those heels away from one another. So you're going to push the heels outwards. If that isn't working for you and you can't take hold of the feet there, they might not reach, use a strap. So you can simply place the strap over the soles of your feet and push the heels away from one another. So you're still going to draw the knees in towards the chest. So making sure that you find your comfortable position here. And notice where your target areas are in this posture. As you draw that right thigh downwards, the left thigh presses against the back of the leg. You can relax into the feet and the ankles. They don't have to be flexed or pointed. You might feel the target area in the right outer hip. You may feel it in the inner groin. Being aware of where you feel this. And knowing what you need to do to modify the posture so you can sit with it for a few minutes. We're only 3 minutes here. It may be 3 minutes of challenge. It may be 3 minutes of ease. Reminding yourself of inner calm, inner stillness. Contemplate the sensations and feelings that have come up for you. And draw those knees a little bit closer to the chest. Breathing out. Pull the heels away from one another. Need a little bit of opposition thought. And relax the hands, relax the feet down, release the legs. Take the feet wide, drop the knees in towards one another. Take a restorative rest pose there as you just release. And yes, we must do the other side as well. So crossing the left thigh over the right. You draw the knees in towards you. So you're really trying to bring the thigh in towards the belly. You take hold of the ankles. Oh, this is a little bit tougher this side for me. So being aware of the differences and using the strap if you need to, looping it over the feet, pulling the heels apart as you pull the thighs towards you. So relaxing the head down. Notice where the target areas are on the opposite side. Really trying to release tightness and tension where it might be building. Soften everything into the posture. When you're breathing out, trying to draw the knees a little bit closer towards the chest and pulling the heels apart from one another. Just a few more breaths left here. Enjoying your inner peace. Smiling helps. And releasing the hands. Releasing the feet down, releasing the legs. Feet go wide, knees drop together. Soften everything as you relax and recover. Soften through the glutes, the outer hips, the IT band. Maybe you felt the compression coming into the abdomen, into the digestive organs, that compression into the belly. Draw the knees in towards the chest, roll and massage out. We're going to take our time to roll over to one side to come up to seated. We're going to come into a wide leg forward fold. So you can turn sideways, of course, onto your mat or just as you are. And again, using the bolsters or the blocks to support the head, or maybe you don't feel that you need those, and just gently walk the hands out and come into dragonfly. Softening everything here, releasing everything to the earth, softening the toes. Softening through the feet and the ankles, trying not to let the ankles roll inwards, but really opening up through the outer hip and the inner thigh. Knees are pointing up towards the sky. Breathe into those tight areas of the inner thighs and groin, or maybe the spine. Working towards your edge, finding the feeling of the posture. Listening to your body, listening to your own range of motion and suppleness and flexibility levels. Every body is different in every posture, but always honoring your own body. Each breath out, release just a little bit more. You are doing great here. Remaining present in any challenge that comes up for you. Knowing your body well enough to make those modifications you may need. Or just holding the pose, finding stillness. Taking your time. Breathing in, bringing the hands back. Keeping the chin towards the chest. Start to gently roll up just as you did from that caterpillar. You're going to push yourself back onto the sit bones. Draw the belly back to the spine. Spine starts to straighten. And you gently lift the head and the gaze. Well done. Take time. Take the hands underneath the knees. Bring the legs together. And press the outer knees together here. So you just squeeze. The breath in and out. Squeeze. Another deep hip opener is our frog pose. So if you are on a hard surface, you might wish to just double up your mat either side of you. And of course, with frog, you've got that bolster where you can lie the body over. So you're going to take your knees nice and wide and try and have a 90-degree bend into the back of the knee, a 90-degree bend into the ankle. So you're flexing the ankle there. And then start to come down, maybe on that bolster. You can rest the belly, the chest, and then turn the head to one side as you rest the head and the neck. So you really want to feel all of the weight sinking. Try not to hold the posture up in any way. And just know if you feel that you have a biting point. So you can start to push the hips back a little bit. You might find that biting point of the inner thighs. Yeah, great. So frog pose here. Let's hold. Each breath out releases a bit more weight. Really try to feel gravity pulling the posture downwards. And the bolster is the only thing that might be holding you up. Not the arms, not the wrists. The knees are just sliding out with each breath out. Maybe you feel as we're halfway through, might wish to take the bolster away. Bringing the body down. You can rest the head on the back of the hands, or you can rest on the elbows. As you're in this posture, just imagine, visualize a frog. Visualize the frog's legs. And how their legs are so strong that they push through the feet, push through the ankles, leap from lily pad to lily pad. Find the inner tranquility in the pose. Taking time to come out of the posture and back up onto the hands, onto the forearms, and just rock yourself forward. Bring the toes together and then gently pull yourself back. And as you press onto the hands, lift the knees slowly, slowly, slowly together. Woo! And rest back, buttocks to heels. Take a moment. Just release. Well done. So we now have just 1 minute in a dangling pose, which is a forward fold, and then we're going to come into our squat. So coming up onto those toes at the back of your mat, and just try and release the heels down a little bit so that you can feel the stretch through the Achilles. And then we're going to try to keep the chest and the belly as close to the thighs as you can. And you can always use your bolster to rest your head on in this dangling forward fold. But start to release the heels as much as you can, keeping the belly onto the thighs, keeping the chest onto the thighs. Relax the head. Take hold of the elbows if you wish here. Relax the head and the neck down. Keep a real deep bend into the knees. I'd rather that you had the chest and belly over the thighs rather than straightening up the legs too much. So if you feel comfortable there, and again, you can always use that bolster if you suffer with glaucoma or high blood pressure or heart conditions. It's always best to keep the heart level with the head. Now you might like to start lengthening the Achilles, lengthening the calves, lengthening the knees, lengthening the hamstrings, coming into that fold just for 10 or 12 breaths. Soften everything. Breathe out, let all that blood flow to the head. And let's release the hands down.
Lift the gaze just a little bit so that you can heel toe the feet out to the wider edges of your mat. Toes go out, heels come in, and you can use a block here to sit on, or you might just simply come down into your squat position. So a squat might be here for you, and that's okay. Any variation of squat. We've really worked into the inner thighs, the groin, through those dragonfly and frog positions. So dropping sit bones between the heels, lengthening the spine. Hands come into the heart, and as you press the elbows into the inner knees, close the eyes. So you're really pushing the palms together. It might take a little bit of pressure into the wrists. So try to ease that tension of pressure from the wrist. See where you can send it. See where you can send and direct that energy. Relax everything in the pelvic floor. Relax the sphincter. Relax the glutes, the buttocks. Let the sit bones drop just a little bit more. Opening the chest, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. I know this one can be a challenge without the block. Doing great. Few more breaths. And slowly release the hands, lift the sit bones, heel toe the feet into parallel, and just sway a little bit through the hips. And then let's come down to the knees. Take a child's pose or a cat and cow, whatever you feel you might need after that one. Okay, we're going to come into what is now my challenging postures of swan, or what we call pigeon. So you can always use a block underneath the right glute. Right knee comes towards the right wrist. You're going to take a gentle flexion into that right ankle and start to lengthen that left leg back behind you. You can, of course, use your bolster to rest the body on. So finding all of the options. I'm going to be putting a block underneath that right sit bone. Dropping the weight over that right thigh, sinking the left hip downwards towards the right heel. Holding the pose, finding stillness, working towards your edge, the 3 principles of Yin Yoga. Noticing where your target areas are. Maybe you're feeling it in your right outer hip, maybe in your right inner groin or your left hip flexor. Just notice where you feel it. Breathe out, let go of that tightness you may be holding, and remember to breathe. slowly come out. Head stays low, hands come back by the knees. You start to press up and then release the legs slowly back into tabletop. Give the hips a little circle here, forwards and back. Yeah. Oof. That is a particularly deep one for me these days. So let's go to the left. So left knee comes to left wrist. You're going to open out that leg as much as comfortable, or maybe it's just underneath you and you're supporting yourself with your bolster or your blocks. Remember, those props fill the space between you and the mat. And then lengthening the torso to come over into that swan position, softening, letting go. And as we transition from right to left, just notice any subtle differences. How do you modify or compensate or compromise different sides of the body? Trying to find a balance. Each breath out. Release and let go a little bit more. Find more depth, more space, more release. Taking time to come out, lift the gaze, bring the fingers back underneath the body, back by the knees, start to roll up, lengthen the spine, open the chest, and then press into the palms to sweep that leg back into tabletop. Ooh, release out through the hips. Great work. Most of the challenge has now been done for practice, but we have a couple more on our backs. So swing the legs around and roll down. Have your bolster by the side of you because we're going to need that one. And just gently draw the knees in towards the chest. And just roll and massage out. Release any of those remaining tight areas. So we're going to come into our supported bridge. So your choice, you can use the most comfortable option of the bolster, or you might wish to use the block on the lowest level, the medium level, or if you like, the highest level. I'm going to go medium. So make sure that that is placed nice and comfortable, nice and securely underneath the sacrum. So we're lifting up the hips, placing the block underneath.
And the buttocks rest over the other side. And then you can open up the arms into cactus, making sure the shoulder blades nice and spread out, palms face up to the sky. Lengthen the neck here. Soften through the facial expression as you close the eyes, breathing out, relaxing toes, legs, hips become heavy. The pelvis sinks into your prop, whatever you've chosen. And you might start to feel this into the lower spine and the middle back. So be aware of your target areas in this supported bridge. If you'd like to take it a little bit deeper, you can always extend the legs into pontoon, so releasing the right and the left down towards the mat. Just for the last minute or so of this posture, dropping the hips even more. That's going to stretch through the front part of the body, the front gate as we call it. So the thighs, the hip flexors, the psoas, and the intercostals, the abdominals. Drop the weight as you breathe out. Breathing in, bring the feet back if you chose pontoon. Place the soles of the feet down once more. Bring the hands back by the hips. Press into the feet and the palms and start to lift the hips away from the block. Send the knees forward. So you're just coming into that active bridge for a release. Breathe and hold. Press into the palms. Press into the feet. Lift the hips. And then slide the prop away and slowly roll down. Shoulder blades, upper back. Lower back comes down last. And the tailbone release finally. Take a moment's pause and then draw the knees in. Roll and massage out. Open the knees. Release into the hip joint. So this is where we come into snail pose. So a couple of options here for you. So using your bolster, you can lift the hips up with the bolster. I hope that my mic doesn't go all funny here because the knees are going to come up on top of your bolster here. So this is a great place to be as well. If you want to take it up to snail, you take the hands behind your spine, dropping the knees in towards the forehead, lifting the sit bones up towards the sky.
So you can use the bolster. You can bring the bolster in underneath you a little bit more so that you're not holding yourself. You can slide that underneath the shoulders even. And then maybe you widen the knees so they drop down a little bit by the shoulders, by the ears. So you can look between the legs and still find breath. And just lengthen the neck. Focus on the breathing. Try to take the breath all the way down to the belly, not just the chest. Keeping the chin just a little bit away from the chest. So you have that room. And coming out nice and slowly. If you've got the bolster underneath you, you can roll back onto the bolster. Or if you've taken it away, roll down vertebra by vertebra all the way. Take the legs long and just feel moment in Shavasana. Our last and final posture is before relaxation is a spinal twist. And again, you can use the blocks or the bolster to support the knees on. You can take the arms out to the side, or you might prefer to cactus arms. So lifting the hips up to the left side of your mat, drop the knees over to the right. And as I say, using the blocks, you might wish to put a block between the legs. Let me show you from this side so that you've got the top knee is supported. It's not kind of hanging in the balance, really. So you might put a block between the knees. That's a really nice place to fill the space. So right knee might be down on the mat, might be on a block, might be on the bolster. Left knee is resting on a block. So if you wish to intensify this twist for yourself, lift the head and look towards the left palm. Really embrace the rotation through the twist here. We haven't done many twists in this practice. Most of the practice has been symmetrical or balancing we're out right and left. So really allowing those knees to be heavy, dropping downwards. Feel the target areas. Try to send the breath to release the tightness and tension in those areas. And really breathing and filling all of the organs, front and back. If you chose to fill the space between the legs with the block, take the block away, bring the head back into center, nice and steady. Breathing in, lift the knees back into center, shift the pelvis back in, realign shoulders, spine, pelvis. Lift and shift the hips, right side of the mat, knees drop over to the left, use the block,
or the bolsters to fill the space between you and the mat. Opening up the arms out to the side, palms face up. And again, finding if this one works for you, you can lift the head, turn the gaze to look towards the right palm. So here you're really trying to open the chest, open the collarbones nice and equally to the sky, drawing down the right shoulder blade and breathing into the right side of the body where that rotational twist is occurring. Softening and letting the legs be heavy. Really breathing out of tension into the outer hip, outer thigh, inner groin. And breathing deep into the organs. Bringing the head back into center if you chose that option, releasing the block from between the knees if you chose that option. Breathing in, lifting the knees back into center, realigning hips, spine, shoulders, hands come to the belly. And heel toe the feet out, letting the knees drop into the center, relax everything. Just feel kind of your energy from your hands going into these digestive organs here, where you sent all of that nourishment, all of that blood flow, all of that prana when you've released out of the twist. And heel toe the feet in, knees come into the chest, roll and massage out. And let's come into our final relaxation in Shavasana. Taking the legs long, making sure that you're warm. Arms come out to the side. You can support the head with a block if you like, or a blanket. You can support the knees with a bolster. Let everything now go. Breathe out. Soften the entire body. And remind yourself that Shavasana is a posture in itself. It may be a challenging posture to you as you learn how to master your stillness, master your presence, and master that inner calm, inner peace, inner tranquility. Not being distracted. So I'm going to leave you for a few minutes of silence and let you know when it's time to come back around from your final relaxation. Beginning to take a few deeper breaths now, bringing your awareness back from your Shavasana into your space, onto the mat, and gently bringing movement. Fingertips, wrists, toes, ankles. Choosing to stretch out or draw the knees in as you take your time. And just rolling over to one side, maybe just pausing there for a couple of breaths of contentment and safety, and then returning up to a comfortable seat. Let's actually return to our Dhyana mudra. So left hand underneath, right hand on top, and the thumbs connect. And then relaxing the shoulders down, relaxing the wrists down to the inner thighs. Just take a gaze down for a moment. So that forehead connection to the Dhyana mudra, the empty bowl, the emptying of thought, the contemplation, allowing yourself into a deeper state of concentration and awareness and wisdom. Maybe using this mudra in your day if you need a little bit of inner calm, inner peace. If you're sitting in a works meeting, use the Dhyana mudra. Thanking yourself for your body, your breath, and your peace today. And I thank you. Namaste.